everybody, this is Matthew Poes with Poes Acoustics, and on this one I want to talk a little bit about why sound isolation and what it takes. I've done this topic in different ways before, but I'm going to do it again just because I think that it's worth talking about. This comes up a fair bit where people are kind of asking me, you know, is it worth it? I mean, it's expensive, so shouldn't I be spending that money on better speakers and better equipment? And the answer could be maybe, to be honest. It may be that that's the right thing to do. So the two main reasons that you sound isolate is going to be to keep sound in so that you don't bother other people. It could be your neighbors, but I'm going to guess most of you don't care about that. It's probably bothering your family. So it's the ability to watch movies and not have it interfere with the rest of your family's life. Maybe your kids are sleeping downstairs or they're sleeping in I actually have a couple of projects where the issue is the kids are sleeping in a bedroom that is right next to the theater. They share a wall. And so it would be waking the kids up, and that's not fair to them. So that's a common reason. The other is noise floor, and that's a good reason too. I mean, if you've got a lot of, especially modern homes with a lot of HVAC equipment or other things that produce noise, the noise floor in the room can end up being somewhere in the neighborhood of 40 or 50 dBA. And in a situation like that, if we consider, let's say 100 decibels as being kind of like the max typical output that you're seeing. So remember, like even reference levels of 105 is sort of like a theoretical upper limit. The movie itself probably isn't going to hit that per channel. It'll typically be below that. And so you might see like 100 dB or less of typical peak output, and averaging is it's supposed to be about 85. It could be less than that, 80, something like that. And then if you turn it down even more so let's just say your noise floor is 50 and your typical listening level ends up being around 80 on average, you've only got 30 decibels between the average level and the noise floor, and that actually isn't a lot. So a lot of quieter noises get completely lost. And then even on the upper end, you've lost a lot of that dynamic range. If you make a really quiet room, you could theoretically have 80 plus decibels of dynamic range instead. That's really much more appropriate. So, especially if you're buying, like people who are really paying attention to things like the synad level of the receiver or processor, the signal to noise ratio, if your room's ambient noise level is anywhere from, I would say, 30 to 50 dBA, all of that's a waste, because at that point your noise floor is so high that it is going to completely mask any noise that the equipment itself is making. So anyway, those are the two main reasons to do it. The problem with it, and this is the issue I run into, is that when people ask for it, they kind of understand that it's like a construction technique and they kind of don't. And what happens often is they say, I see your videos and I understand that the best way to do it is to build a theater from scratch, tear the walls down, rebuild the walls using these springy isolators, lots of layers of drywall, specialty glues, you name it, and that gives you the best sound isolation. But I don't need all that. I just need to not wake up my kids. Well, the problem is those are the same thing. The technique that I use is the only technique you can use to get enough isolation to keep from waking up the kids. It's also the only technique that's going to dramatically lower the noise floor. So it's not an issue. It's not like, well, I'm going overkill and you don't want to go overkill. It's that overkill is necessary. So then people will come and say, well, is there anything I can do because I can't tear the walls down? It's just not realistic. And the answer is a mixture of yes and no. You could actually take all the trim off of the wall. So I had somebody email me and they said, I have a partition wall, a party wall. So they live in, let's say, an apartment or a townhouse or something. And there's a party wall, means it's the wall between your unit and the unit next to you. By law, in most communities, that party wall has to have a certain degree of sound isolation. And if it doesn't have that much sound isolation, then you could potentially sue, but it would be out of code. Now, I'm not going to promise that all the party walls are done correctly. I have been to hotels and I have been to apartments and even rented apartments that did not have party walls that probably met code. But in theory, they are supposed to be built differently and probably were. They might have been built, I would say the cheapest way I typically see is staggered stud with insulation. I see double stud or chase walls done all the time. They don't put in the spring isolators. They don't really do them right for high amounts of sound isolation, but they do them pretty well. In a scenario like that, if there is insulation in the wall and it's a double stud wall or even a staggered stud wall, adding a second layer of drywall with green glue or something like that would actually probably be worth it, because it would add some damping and decoupling to your side of the room, you've already got a higher air gap. You've already got some decoupling from the design they use. It just doesn't have the mass and damping that it needs to really take it to that next level. So in that scenario, like I would say, yeah, take all the trim off and put up an extra layer. It's not going to be like night and day, but it's going to should make a noticeable difference. On the other hand, if this is normal 2x4 construction, there's no insulation in the walls, adding that extra mass it'll make a difference, but it's pretty minimal. It's going to be about 2 to 3 decibels at best of extra isolation. So probably not worth the cost and effort. So, again, why you do it, as I said, lower noise floor, reducing noise that goes out. How do you do it is a construction technique. And I really think it's worth it, but unfortunately for a lot of people, not practical. And when you get into those situations where you're looking at spending money on construction or not, and you really can't tear walls down, that's where I start to say you may have to give up on sound isolation and spend the money on speakers. It's probably going to make a bigger difference for your enjoyment at that point, because you're not going to be able to do anything from a sound isolation standpoint that's really going to benefit you. You're still going to unfortunately wake people up, and so you're just going to have to kind of work around that, watch movies when people aren't sleeping or aren't around, or have everybody in the room watch the movies with you, and then having a better experience in the room maybe is the best approach. So I know I'm kind of beating a dead horse on this one, but like I said, as recently as this week, had an email from somebody saying, I've watched your videos, I know what you do for sound isolation, that's awesome. I can't do that, but I need, something, what would you recommend? And I just find myself constantly having to say, unfortunately, probably there's not a lot I can do. So hopefully this was interesting. Subscribe to the channel, please, and that'll help me, and I can make sure you guys stay up to date on all the new content.